What if one man used wealth, power, and connections to build a hidden empire of exploitation? What if some of the most powerful names in the world were linked to a man accused of trafficking underage girls? And what if that man died in a federal jail cell before he ever faced trial? Tonight on Crime Line, we're breaking down the true story of Jeffrey Epstein. The rise, the crimes, the arrests, the powerful connections, and the death that sparked global controversy. This is not rumor. This is not internet theory. This is the documented timeline. Jeffrey Epstein was born in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. By most accounts, his early life was ordinary. He attended college, but never completed a degree. Yet somehow, by his early 30s, Epstein had positioned himself among financial elites. He worked briefly as a math teacher at a prestigious Manhattan private school. From there, he transitioned into finance, working at Bear Stearns before eventually founding his own financial management firm. Epstein marketed himself as someone who handled money for ultra-wealthy clients. Billionaires, royalty, business moguls, but the exact source of his fortune has always remained somewhat unclear. By the early 2000s, Epstein owned a massive mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, a multi-story townhouse in Manhattan, a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands known as Little St. James, private jets, international properties. He moved in powerful circles. Politicians, celebrities, academics, and royalty appeared in photographs with him. But behind the wealth and influence, something far darker was happening. In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida began investigating reports that Epstein had been paying teenage girls for massages at his mansion. What investigators uncovered was deeply disturbing. According to law enforcement reports, underage girls were recruited to come to his home. They were allegedly paid hundreds of dollars. Some were encouraged to recruit other girls. The pattern suggested an organized system. Police gathered witness statements from multiple victims. In 2006, Epstein was charged under Florida law with soliciting prostitution from a minor. But in 2008, something controversial happened. Epstein reached a non-prosecution agreement with federal prosecutors. Instead of facing federal sex trafficking charges, he pleaded guilty in state court to lesser charges. He served 13 months in county jail. But here's the part that outraged many. He was allowed work release. He was allowed to leave jail for long hours. He was reportedly given unusual privileges. The deal also granted immunity to potential co-conspirators. Many victims later said they were never informed about the plea agreement before it was finalized, something that would later be challenged in court. The case appeared to end there, but it didn't. After his release, Epstein registered as a sex offender, but he did not disappear. Instead, he returned to his properties and continued socializing among elites. Meanwhile, civil lawsuits began to emerge. Women came forward alleging they had been abused as minors. The media started investigating. Journalists questioned how someone accused of trafficking minors had received such a lenient deal. In 2018, a major investigative series renewed public attention on the case. It detailed the extent of the alleged abuse and the controversial plea agreement. Federal authorities reopened the investigation. This time, it would be different. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey after landing on his private jet. Federal prosecutors in New York charged him with sex trafficking of minors, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. According to the indictment, Epstein had recruited dozens of underage girls, paid them for sexual acts, operated the scheme from at least 2002 to 2005, used multiple properties, including homes in New York and Florida. When authorities searched his Manhattan mansion, they reportedly found large amounts of cash, photographs of young girls, evidence relevant to the trafficking investigation. Epstein pleaded not guilty. He was denied bail and held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan while awaiting trial. The world watched. Many believed the upcoming trial would expose powerful names and answer long-standing questions. But that trial never happened. On August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found unresponsive in his jail cell. He was pronounced dead shortly after. The New York City medical examiner ruled the death a suicide by hanging. However, the circumstances raised immediate questions. Epstein had previously been placed on suicide watch. Guards reportedly failed to conduct required checks. Surveillance cameras near his cell malfunctioned. 2 correctional officers were later charged with falsifying records related to monitoring duties. They admitted to sleeping and failing to properly check on inmates. The Department of Justice conducted investigations into jail procedures. While the official ruling remained suicide, the event sparked widespread public skepticism and conspiracy theories. But as Crimeline, we stick to documented findings. The official cause of death was ruled suicide. After Epstein's death, attention shifted to alleged accomplices. One name stood out: Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell, a British socialite and longtime associate of Epstein, was accused of helping recruit and groom underage girls. In 2020, she was arrested by the FBI. In 2021, after a federal trial in New York, Maxwell was convicted on multiple counts related to sex trafficking and conspiracy. In 2022, she was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Her conviction marked one of the only criminal trials connected directly to Epstein's trafficking network. One reason the Epstein case captured global attention was his connections. Over the years, Epstein had social ties to politicians, business leaders, academics, royal figures. Flight logs from his private jet were publicly released. Photographs circulated widely. Court documents named various individuals as associates. However, it is critical to separate association from criminal involvement. Being photographed with Epstein does not equal participation in crimes. Some individuals publicly stated they regretted ever associating with him. Others denied knowledge of his activities. Multiple lawsuits and document releases continue to surface information, but, as of now, no sweeping conspiracy involving all named associates has been proven in court. At the center of this case are the victims. Dozens of women have publicly shared accounts alleging they were recruited as minors. Their stories describe financial vulnerability, manipulation, grooming, coercion, abuse disguised as opportunity. In 2022, a compensation fund established by Epstein's estate paid out hundreds of millions of dollars to claimants. For many victims, justice came not through Epstein's conviction, but through civil settlements. Epstein's estate faced ongoing lawsuits after his death. Investigations into the original 2008 plea deal revealed misconduct concerns. A federal judge later ruled that prosecutors had violated victims' rights by failing to inform them of the agreement. The Department of Justice conducted internal reviews of the handling of the case. The scandal led to broader conversations about prosecutorial accountability, jail oversight, the power of wealth in legal outcomes, sex trafficking prevention. The Epstein case remains one of the most controversial criminal cases in modern U.S. history, not because of rumors, but because of documented failures. A lenient plea deal in 2008, missed opportunities for accountability, jail negligency, a death before trial. The case highlighted how power, wealth, and legal maneuvering can intersect in ways that leave the public questioning the system. It also reinforced the importance of investigative journalism and victim advocacy. Jeffrey Epstein never stood trial for the 2019 federal charges, but his arrest, death, and the conviction of Ghislaine Maxwell exposed a disturbing trafficking network that operated for years. For many, the biggest unanswered question isn't about conspiracy. It's about accountability. How did it go on for so long? Why was the 2008 deal so lenient? Could more have been done sooner? These are documented questions, not speculation, and they continued to shape discussions about justice in America. This has been Crimeline. If you found this breakdown informative and fact-based, make sure to subscribe for more true crime investigations, courtroom breakdowns, and real case time. Drop a comment below. Do you think the system failed in 2008? And what case should Crimeline cover next? Stay informed, stay critical, and we'll see you in the next episode.